second live Facebook chat. Thank you for all your really positive feedback on our first chat. It was great to talk with you all for the first time. We've had a couple of questions already sent in for today's chat, so thank you to those who sent those in. Feel free to drop any comments or ask any further questions that you might like to ask us. We'll do a quick round of introductions. It's both myself and Hannah. Again, we met you last time, and we've got two new panellists this evening, so I'll leave you guys to introduce yourself.
I'm Kathy Webb, I'm the IBD Nurse Specialist Lead at Derriford Hospital.
I'm Dani, I'm the joint chair with Shas for the East Cornwall and West Devon network.
Cheers!
Cheers!
Perfect. So, if we got our first question?
Our first question is, what is the next event that the group's putting on?
Shall I answer that one? Because it's kind of my event. Okay, so we are really lucky that we are supported by a really great cafe on the Hoe, which some of you might know, called the Liner Lookout. And we are going to have a community picnic, so you don't need to buy a ticket, you don't need to do anything. If you want to turn up with your own picnic, you can, or you can buy you know, cups of tea, coffee, cakes, sandwiches at the Liner Lookout. There's going to be a small tent there, so even if the weather's bad, you can come up and join us. And there's grass games there. We could play a game on the Hoe. The idea is just getting the community together, just, you know, in a beautiful place and all feeling happy. And that is on the 8th
of July.
Sorry, I'm going to a christening on the 9th, so that's what I'm going to do. So it's on the 8th of July, and it's from 11 till 2. Please just turn up. We're all really friendly, honest. And it would be really, really lovely just to have our community come along and exist and have a great time together. There it is.
Sounds great.
Yes, that's good. It's going to be a good afternoon.
Hopefully Dr. Hayward will bring his dog.
I'll bring mine.
Oh, ideal. Well, I'll bring mine then.
Oh, okay.
Ideal.
Okay, we've got a medical question. I was told I'd be on medication for life. Is this true, or can some IBD sufferers come off medication, or at least try to?
Did they say they got Crohn's or colitis?
It's someone who is an IBD sufferer.
Okay.
I think that really very much depends. Most people we would try and get them off medication for a period of time. We try to get people off immunosuppressants, certainly, for some period of time. We would reassess their disease. If things were looking pretty good, then we try them off that type of medication.
What do you mean by immunosuppressants?
So anything like azathioprine, Mercaptopurine, drugs that sort of suppress your immune system, particularly for Crohn's.
Why do you try and get people off those?
Just because immunosuppressants long term can have side effects. And in very young people, and predominantly people with Crohn's and colitis are young, it's nice to have people off those types of drugs, at least for some periods of time. For colitis, it's a bit different. Mesalazines are used very widely in colitis, and those drugs we would generally say stay on because they're very safe, they're well tolerated. On the whole, they don't have side effects. And people, we know that they have a cancer preventative action for colitis. So often people will stay on mesalazines long term. But for Crohn's, we would try to give people some time off.
This is actually someone with ulcerative colitis.
Ah, okay. So really depending on the medication.
Yeah.
So mesalazines, I think, would be long-term. Azathioprine, Mercaptopurine and other immunosuppressants we would try and get people off.
I think from my experience, I was on medicine for a long time, and I'm lucky to not be on any medicine currently, in touch wood.
Yeah.
Famous last words. Yeah, and actually it feels really good. It's quite exciting. Bit of a milestone. So fingers crossed for you. But if not, I think as long as you're well, you know, just make the most of that.
Absolutely.
Okay, we've got a question about going on holiday. How do you travel with your medications, like Humira?
Should we say what Humira is? Do you want to take that one, Dani? It's like an injection.
Yeah, it's an injection. For me, I was on Humira for 6 years, I think it was, and I was injecting every other week. I didn't actually travel. I would travel down to Cornwall and I would put it, if I had to take the injection, the pen, it's like a pen, I'd take it with me, I'd put it in like a cool box bag that you take your picnic in and pack it up nice but not too close and wrap tea towels around it. And I'd only really travelled about an hour, so I haven't travelled long distance. So I don't know how you travel with it.
Yeah,
by plane.
I was when I did it, oh God, it feels quite a while ago now, but I remember ringing the hotel. It was a school university trip I went with, so I was quite keen to get the details of the hotel, make sure that if there wasn't kind of fridges in the room, they had somewhere that I could keep it. So I think just maybe do a little bit of research there beforehand, just makes you feel a little bit at ease, at least when you're in the air. And I remember carrying on mine on the flight with me in my hand luggage.
Yeah. You did that as well, didn't you?
Yeah, it's quite a few years ago since I flew with it. I'm not on it currently. But if you're going to fly, it's fine if you're going to get the ferry or anything like that, or driving. But if you're going to go on the plane, you need to have a certificate from the doctor to say that you're allowed to fly with it. And also, particularly if you're taking, if you're going away for a month or something, or you need more, it might go over the amount of, it's got to be in a, see-through plastic bag and everything, and they can give you a note so that you haven't got to go through all of that. Oh, and it shouldn't go through the X-ray machine. That's the other thing, should it?
Okay.
I'm just trying to remember it all now. But it was really easy, you turned up, I had my letter, I literally had the call box in my hand, I handed it over with the letter. And obviously it feels like, I'm doing something, drawing attention to myself, but they deal with this all the time. You need to think diabetics would take a lot of stuff with them, or other conditions. And although it might feel a big deal to you and you might feel embarrassed or anything like that, actually it's really normal, and your GP would be fine to write you that letter. And my GP didn't charge me.
We can also write a letter.
Oh, great.
The airlines will accept a letter from us if you want to contact us. We can do that. The other thing to say is, if you're going for a week or even 10 days, then you could just not take the drug with you and take your drug before you leave and when you get back. If you're quite stable, it wouldn't do you any harm to miss a dose.
Would you suggest phoning you guys?
Yeah, give us a ring on the helpline, and depending on where you are, really, if you've just started the drug, then obviously it's important that you probably have it very regularly. If you've been on it a year or two, then certainly missing a dose is not going to cause problems. The helpline
number?
01752 439 224.
Excellent.
Have we got a question that's just come in there? I can't read it from over here.
You said you were on Humira. Does this mean you aren't now? Did you make a decision to come off it? Were you okay when you stopped taking it? Well, that applies to both of you.
Do you want to tell your story?
Well, I was on Humira for about 6 years and then became really well. And Kathy kept saying to me, "You must try and come off it," and I kept saying, "No, thank you very much." and then I had a really heavy cold and stopped taking it, and then realised that I kept forgetting to take it, and I was so well that I've just I haven't taken it. So it's been about 16 months. So it's a joint decision, being well. Time to just give my body a break, and so far
right.
Doing a lot of that.
As ever, because Crohn's is such a different beast, I did not have that experience. No. I came off Humira because of other medical reasons. I was incredibly well on Humira. I loved Humira. I would have joined the fan club if it had one. I came off it, and within, I think it was 6 months, I was having an operation. And then I tried to go back on it afterwards, and it's just not effective for me anymore. So it just doesn't work for me anymore. I've developed antibodies to it. So, as ever, two completely different tales of coming off Humira, and you won't know. And to a certain extent, you've got to make that judgment. There are other... The one good thing is there's loads of different medicines coming out all the time. So, I can go on other things, but the Humira ship has sailed for me now, because I came off it. But just to say, I came off it at my own volition. They didn't tell me to.
Which leads us nicely into a question about Ustekinumab.
Sorry, could you say that again?
No.
That's Shas in the background.
So Ustekinumab is the newest biologic treatment for Crohn's disease. It's just been NICE approved. NICE is the National Institute for Clinical Excellence, and they have to approve all very expensive drugs, essentially. They have just agreed. It's just about to go through the final approval process. So we imagine it will be more readily available within the next 2-3 months. At the moment, people that have failed all treatments on Crohn's, and that would be infliximab, Humira, methotrexate, aspirin, we can give them Ustekinumab. Even I'm slipping up now.
Give us some more wine.
But it's on an individual funding request, and we have actually managed to get that agreed. I think Crohn's and Colitis UK, lobbied quite hard for that. So we have now managed to give that to 4 to 5 patients, which is fantastic.
That is great.
People that had failed absolutely all treatments.
That's really good.
So, yeah. It's also called Stellara, which is easier.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Go with that one.
Don't tell Shas that.
Stellara's it, mate. Okay, we have a question. How can I lose weight? I try to eat a healthy salad or vegetables and end up in pain.
It is difficult.
Yeah.
It really is, and again, everyone's going to be different. I think maybe, I think we touched upon thinking, not being too hard on yourself. There's lots of things that are maybe out of your control that are maybe impacting, your shape, your size, how you feel in yourself, in your body. I think maybe be a bit kind to yourself, and it's easier said than done, when you're in that situation, but do talk to health professionals, even fitness professionals, just to really understand maybe exercises or bits of routine that you can maybe adopt that are quite kind on your body. Take it maybe in small steps. The worst thing you want to do is get yourself poorly or more poorly, I don't know, compromise on any of that, I'd say. So I'd say definitely just talk to as many people as you can, get as much advice and guidance. Be patient. That's so hard, isn't it, though?
Yeah, it is difficult, and I think prednisolone particularly does cause massive problems with weight gain, and we do try to limit prednisolone for that reason. But it tends to be people who have put on a lot of weight. It tends to be due to that on the whole. People with Crohn's disease particularly won't be able to eat a lot of fibre. A lot of people with ulcerative colitis will find fibre easier, and therefore will be able to adopt some healthy living plan. Not everybody, but that's true on the whole, I think. But certainly people with small bowel Crohn's, it's very, very difficult. And they may not be able to eat all the fruit and fibre that they kind of need. But like China says, it's just having a balance, really. And we do have an IBD dietitian who's very good at these types of issues, who could, if you do want to see a dietitian, there's normally one available, so contact us.
And I think, and that's really hard, but it's important to look at health kind of holistically. And I think quite often, if someone's overweight, you think, oh, they're not looking after themselves or whatever. But actually, if you need to take a medication which is going to make you gain weight, that is a healthy thing to do. And I know it's really hard to look at it in that way, but it would be better to take the right medication because, like Kathy said, it's like you're not going to be on it forever.
No.
These guys are going to try and take you off it, not because of your weight, but because it's not right. And I think it's really hard, but having Crohn's and colitis is really hard, isn't it? Like it's another
Very
thing to deal with.
Yeah, very difficult. And body image, like you've just said, and weight gain, all these things are extremely complex, aren't they? And they're multi-faceted. There's lots of people that have got, get very depressed, and again, prednisolone can be a very depressing drug to be on, and that can affect your motivation to lose weight. So there's lots and lots of different, problems that encompass that whole area, really. I think exercise can help. I mean, I think we do shy away from encouraging people with exercise, and most people do say if they do something, they'll feel better, even if it's just getting out and walking. And that can always help with weight gain as well. So even if it's just getting out and walking, the dog.
Yeah.
You've got one.
And bring your dog along.
Or get a dog.
For the picnic, the 8th of July.
I think for me, I think we touched upon it last time, but I ended up keeping lots of kind of food diaries and things like that, and then maybe just thinking of some small changes that I could make. Like for me, water, I was a nightmare with drinking water. And any kind of health planning, healthy gurus out there say about how important water was, and I would just totally avoid it. And I think recently we got in the post a food diary or a sample guide sent from Crohn's and Colitis UK, and that they're doing a little bit of research and looking into that.
Big research at the moment that Crohn's and Colitis UK are doing is the
It's a chicken leg.
it's advice around diets, and IBD is their next research, isn't it?
So yeah, definitely keep an eye on that. I'm sure they'll be posting about their findings. Hannah's laughing at some questionable drawings.
I can't point that out. Craig would like to say hi to you. Craig.
Oh, my lovely nurse.
Say hi to Craig. Craig, what's his surname?
Craig Jones.
Oh, Craig.
Oh.
afraid. I've just
Rhiannon.
done your IFR today for Ustekinumab.
Fingers crossed.
Oh, yeah.
Really good question for
In fact,
Rhiannon.
Rhiannon's talking about struggling with weight as well, and she's currently on prednisolone. So how do we contact the IBD dietitian?
Oh, if you ring the IBD helpline,
Which is
01752 439 224.
Very good.
I know, I see.
It's like vote for
Delibly.
Kathy.
We can refer you on to her. I do have a number for her, but I can't remember it. But just leave a message on the helpline and I can refer you on to Lucy, that's fine.
Rhiannon, the second part of her thing is saying that she's been on Slimming World. I went on Weight Watchers actually when I was trying to lose weight when I was on prednisolone. I know we haven't practiced, but I was wondering about, like, is it okay to be on diet, things like that?
Absolutely.
Or should you?
Absolutely fine.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
fine.
if you can tolerate it, go ahead with it. Slimming World does often use a lot of vegetables and fruit, and people do have problems with that. But some people don't.
Yeah.
And it's just trial and error. So anything that works for you, really, it's absolutely fine to do. I mean, some of the things like Slim Fast, I think, aren't so good.
Yeah.
Because those drinks can give people diarrhea. And they commonly do. So Slimming World, Weight Watchers...
Don't need any more of
The
that.
general, they're absolutely fine to do, but some of the more sort of like hard and fast ones can be a bit more.
And I found with Weight Watchers that, and I'm sure Slimming World's the same, it just helped me get my portion sizes back, because when you're ill, you kind of like don't want to eat anything, and then suddenly you go on prednisolone and you think, great, I can eat, I want to eat
exactly.
and you eat everything, and you think, oh, this is great because I haven't eaten for ages, and then you're like, oh look, I'm enormous, none of my clothes fit, again.
True as well. I think that even when people go on drugs like Infliximab and Humira, when they've been very ill, a lot of people have lost a lot of weight, especially with Crohn's. And they've lost an awful lot of weight, and most women actually quite like that. So when they get well and they start putting on weight from Humira, Infliximab, whatever, people don't like it. So it can just sometimes be a symptom of you being well.
Yeah.
And it's because
I agree.
we're so hard on ourselves all the time about weight that we beat ourselves up and we think, oh well, I've put on a stone, but actually that's probably the weight that's right for you.
And when you're ill, everyone tells you look great.
Yeah, exactly.
When you're actually well, people go, ooh.
I was at my heaviest weight on the Humira, and I thought that was just fantastic. And then I thought, well, that's my body, being well inside.
Yeah, exactly.
That's me taking in nutrients from my food.
Yes, my clothes not fitting.
Rhiannon actually says she's had to stop Slimming World because the amount of fibre was too much for her body to tolerate.
Yeah. Well, have you got Crohn's? Rhiannon, is it the fibre? I don't know if she'll.
Did she say colitis?
I know some kind of diets out there and things, and I think you just do a little bit of research. Some of them now offer kind of like FODMAP or alternative kind of plans.
What's
So-
FODMAP?
That's a very good one, actually.
And I know, well, I'm not going to tell you what FODMAP stands for.
Google it.
But I know being...
She's got colitis. Rhiannon's got colitis.
Rhiannon.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, I don't know whether or not that's maybe worth a little bit of research there. I know that for me, wanting to get moving in healthy eating, because just mentally you feel like you're healthier if you're eating healthy foods.
Yeah.
So I followed a plan that was accompanied by a FODMAP kind of dietary guidelines, so that there are some of them out there. They just take maybe a little bit more research, and also it's quite hard when there's lots of, I suppose, mainstream diets out there that everyone's doing, and if you're kind of doing them with a big group of people, you feel, the sense of community is so powerful. And actually doing something a bit different that no one's heard of. Again, you mentioned motivation earlier, Kathy. You maybe haven't got that motivation of a big group of people doing, plans like that. But I think it is worth maybe a little bit of research and looking into that, because they are out there. It's just worth having. Giving it a go.
When I was doing Weight Watchers, I was doing it with a group, and towards the end of it I started to get ill, and the group basically disowned me because I was losing like 6 pounds, 7 pounds a week every week. I was just eating whatever I wanted, and I was like, I think I might be ill, and they were a bit like...
I love that you kept attending just to get those certificates.
I'm so competitive.
Sliver of the 1 month.
Yeah, exactly, thank you.
Got another question for you. I haven't had an appointment in a year and a half. I think I need one. How can I speak with a member of the team or get an appointment?
Just ring us. We should have the number.
Yeah,
They do on
Probably put it on the
I mean, we as you know, the NHS under huge pressure. Gastroenterology at Derriford is under immense pressure. So we are trying to get away from completely routine appointments if you're very, very well. But having said that, some people, people with colitis around the whole bowel, for example, do need surveillance. So cancer surveillance, colonoscopies long term. So there are important reasons to come back to clinic, now and again. So I think if you're not well, always ring the helpline anyway. That's important. And if you're having a flare and you're not right, if you just want to query whether or not you do need an appointment, give us a ring on an non-urgent basis, and we can just get you notes and assess that and make one for you if you need it.
Cool. I understood that I couldn't take ibuprofen because I was on Mercaptopurine, but now I understand that maybe it's because I have colitis.
Yes,
well, that's a good
absolutely
question.
right. It's nothing to do with the Mercaptopurine.
So you can't...
Anybody with IBD, we tend to say don't take non-steroidals, and that would be Nurofen, Ibuprofen, Voltarol, naproxen. All that group of drugs we know can significantly flare up inflammatory bowel disease. So we always say to people, we try and say to people, don't ever take those drugs unless you really, really need to, because people do relapse on them, taking them, because they can just increase bleeding. So if you need painkillers, on the whole, go for paracetamol. If you need something stronger, go for codeine-based drugs.
And it's sometimes worth knowing that, even if the health professional needs to check it, because you know your disease better than probably the generalist in front of you. So I broke my toe this time last year, and while I was at the Cumberland Centre, they were like, "It's okay, take ibuprofen," and I didn't sit there and go, "You don't know your job," because I just honest, I didn't. No, yeah, okay, all right. Once they punched me, no. I said, "Oh, is that okay with my Crohn's?" And they got their little book out and just double checked it. And whenever I'm prescribed anything, I always say I'm on this or I'm on this or I've got Crohn's disease. And it just makes them double check. And sometimes they won't just check their book and I'll be able to go, yeah, definitely. And that's fine. But that was also the case when I was pregnant. Actually, there was a lot of different things that I was asked to do. One of my best friends was pregnant at the same time as me. There were a lot of things that I couldn't do or should do, which were different. So I think just always mention to whoever you're in front of that you've got that condition, and could they check that whatever they're asking you to do is okay.
And avoid non-steroidals at all costs.
Oh yeah, and even if they tell you to take it, don't.
Yeah.
Phone that number.
Rhiannon's thanking you for the advice. She's glad to know that everything was what you expect.
Thanks, Rhiannon.
I think there's a final question. It's about insurance, travel insurance. It's the holiday season. Does anybody have a problem with travel insurance? How do you get around it?
No. I'm just honest. When you fill out the travel form online, I usually do it online, and just you have to answer if you had surgery or you expect an appointment, and just if you're honest with it, I've not had a problem. But I know that on the Crohn's and Colitis website, which is www.crohnsandcolitis.org.uk, there are some travel companies that you can get in contact with for travel insurance. Have you had problems? Have you?
I know, but I'll let you go.
Well, I know that it's a little bit pricier, I'll put it that way. So, unfortunately, when you kind of save for a holiday, I kind of factor that in. How sad is that?
Yeah.
How sad is that? But, just like, lots of people, I think most of us maybe have to, save for a couple of months before booking a holiday, and I just factor that in and just try and put a little bit...
It probably depends if you've had surgery or not, because I have not been down the surgery line at all, so probably that's why it doesn't alter my insurance too much. But if you've had surgery, I guess it...
And if you're on medication, certain medication can affect travel insurance.
We had quite, and we got a bit of a joke about me getting travel insurance, that with each question you can hear the premium go up. It goes cha-ching, 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 cha-ching. So it goes, have you got any chronic conditions? Yes, cha-ching. Have you seen a consultant in the last 6 months? Yes, cha-ching. Have you had an inpatient thing? And and it just goes up and up and up. And then after you've answered all those questions, they go, we need to refer you to our specialist panel. So then we go off to the specialist panel, and then they say, they put you down a Crohn's disease route. Has your bowel ever perforated? Yes, cha-ching. Have you had surgery? Yes, cha-ching. And it goes up. And generally, they will either offer me an astronomical premium, or they will say, we will insure you, but it will be, but we won't include your Crohn's disease. And because Crohn's disease, I mean, I've had it a long time, and pretty much I could blame most things on Crohn's disease if I really wanted to. And so you're basically travelling without insurance, really, because I imagine pretty much anything, you know, even if I broke my leg, they say I was running to the loo. You know, I don't trust them. So I had a real problem. I mean, I had a holiday booked. I'd been diagnosed in that period, and you know, I'd had a surgery in the last 6 months. And I mean, they quoted me something like $2,500. But that wasn't even a year. That was one trip. Luckily, I had an ongoing from before. I had one which came with a bank account. But I phoned them to say, would you cover me? And they said, well, yeah, but I'm telling you, we'd never cover you again. So any of those travel insurances that come free with a phone contract or free with a bank account or anything like that, they do not cover anything like Crohn's disease. That, you know, you need to go on and individually check. So we go onto the Crohn's and Colitis website. Yeah. We don't go on there anymore. We have our insurer that we know covers me. And mine is slightly more expensive. It's we probably pay about £60–70 a trip. Which isn't too bad.
Much better than the
which isn't too bad. I mean, I haven't had surgery since 2011, so you know it's a while down the line. But the other thing I'd say is my husband always goes with them as well. You know, give that company some money, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to go on holiday. So like we both give that company some money. So if one of you can get it cheap and one of you can't, both of you go with the more expensive one, so that company still covers people like us with these conditions, please.
Controversial, but how important is travel insurance? I'm guessing it's always
I think it depends where you go.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Europe, there's a reciprocal agreement, isn't there, that you would get treated anyway and you wouldn't be charged phenomenally, I believe. But certainly if you go to the States or something, be very careful in the States. Do get properly insured for that, because you don't want a huge medical bill, which you do hear people get ill in the States and they're really in trouble. So.
On the holiday topic, I just have one question for everyone out there. Anyone who's found any great high street or specialist bikinis, swimwear for people with colostomies, ileostomies, thought that would be a really great thing to get sharing this time of the year. I know I'd be really grateful for that, and I'm sure there's lots of people out there that would love your recommendations. I know there's been a great documentary on BBC 3 at the moment about a lingerie designer specialising.
That's great.
Amazing.
Stacey, I don't know, if we can find her name we'll share it. But anyone out there who's found any great swimwear pieces for classmates, get sharing. We'd all appreciate that.
Brilliant.
So, next to a last reminder of the picnic. Please come along and see us at the picnic. We would love to see you. We've got a last question coming from Abby. Did I teach you, Abby? Did I teach you?
Abby Hurrell.
I've recently started.
Oh, you're one of the Ustekinumab. And I'm about to start a liquid diet. Yeah, Modulen. We were just talking about that in our preamble. Get some words of wisdom. It is Kathy, Abby.
Can't you recognise me? I told you I didn't look like myself.
If it is, I really don't think I would be where I am today if it wasn't for her.
Whoa. Should we all, everyone like for Kathy? Massive like for Kathy.
Bless her.
Oh, Vicky's already sharing it. Oh my God, Kathy! So much respect for you. We all agree. You was amazing.
Thank you.
Have a drink.
Thank you.
Anything on
a glass of wine. Celebrate.
Should we answer Abby's question quickly?
Oh, sorry. What does it say?
About Ustekinumab.
Words of wisdom about a liquid diet of Modulen.
Yes.
Heather's on. You're on your honeymoon, love. She's on her honeymoon. You should not be on here, love.
Oh, Heather, go away.
We don't want to know.
In a loving way.
Definitely liquid diet, in a nutshell, very, very effective for small bowel Crohn's in the short term, Modulen or whatever that might be. Good evidence that it reduces inflammation in the gut, but it's best in conjunction with drugs as well.
And keep going.
You've got strictures. It is hard. It's really difficult, a liquid diet, but it is worth it.
Yeah.
Time to wrap up.
So enjoy your honeymoon, Heather.
Yeah, congratulations.
Enjoy your honeymoon. Get off this.
If anyone's got any discussion points they'd like us to theme our next chat about, or anything you'd like to cover, anyone maybe you'd like to see on the panel. We've had some requests for some guys, so we're definitely looking into that.
Guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, we want men. We want men.
Generally,
Apply below.
That came out wrong. I meant male panellists. We'll see you next time.
Bye.